And then let us move on to what is the relationship between roots and coefficients of a quadratic equation. So, roots and coefficients of quadratic equation means if you can understand the number of roots of a quadratic equation, the number of roots of a quadratic equation as we already discussed, that is at the maximum 2. Okay. So, at the maximum 2 means, for example, the quadratic equation is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This is the quadratic equation, and we already discussed about the roots of this quadratic equation. Now, when the quadratic equation is given, we know how to find the roots, but conversely, when the roots are given, how to find the quadratic equation? You should think in a different way, that when the quadratic equation is given, then we know how to find the roots of the quadratic equation. But when the roots of the quadratic equation is given, how to figure out that quadratic equation? Let us try to understand with one of the examples. That is, for example, my quadratic equation is x square minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. I know how to find the roots of this by using splitting Milter method. I don't have to go for quadratic formula. That is x square minus 3x minus 2x plus 6 is equal to 0. So, finally, you can take one x common here. So, x into x minus 3 minus 2 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. So, finally, it is going to be x minus 3 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. Since the product of two terms is equal to 0, either first term equal to 0 or second term equal to 0. So, here the first term is x minus 3. So, x minus 3 is equal to 0 or x minus 2 is equal to 0. If x minus 3 is equal to 0, then x is equal to 3. When x minus 2 equal to 0, then x is equal to 2. Therefore, the roots of the given quadratic equation are 3 and 2. Right? This is the way of finding roots of a given quadratic equation. Now, I am telling you, just think conversely and how to find the roots of the given quadratic equation when the roots are given, right? For example, the roots of given quadratic equation are, in general, we can take them as x is equal to alpha and x is equal to beta. Okay, x is equal to alpha and x is equal to beta are the roots. Once you understand and follow the steps, the logical sequence of steps in finding the roots of the given quadratic equation, see here, finally you got x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 2. So, x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 2 means they are roots of the quadratic equation. X is equal to 3 is a root, then what do you call this x minus 3? Because x is equal to 3. When you transpose 3 this side, then it would be x minus 3 equal to 0. So, that if 3 is a root of the quadratic equation, then what do you call this x minus 3? It is called factor of the quadratic equation. So, when 3 is a root, then x minus 3 is a factor. Similarly, when 2 is a root, then x minus 2 is a factor, right? We have two roots, x is equal to alpha and x is equal to beta. When x is equal to alpha is a root, can we say that x minus alpha is equal to 0? And similarly, x minus beta is equal to 0. So, it means x minus alpha is one of the factors and x minus beta is another factor. When you have two factors, then definitely you will have to multiply both of them to get a second degree polynomial, right? Because it is linear and it is linear. So, linear into linear will become a quadratic polynomial equation. So, when you multiply both of them, then it is going to be x minus alpha into x minus beta, which is equal to 0. Perform normal multiplication. X into x is going to be x square minus alpha into x is equal to alpha x minus beta into x is equal to minus beta x minus alpha into minus beta is going to be plus alpha beta is equal to 0. We can write this as x square minus alpha x minus beta x is, from these two terms you can take one minus x common, remaining here alpha, already minus taken common, so remaining plus into beta, remaining plus alpha into beta is alpha into beta is equal to 0. This is what you call a quadratic equation whose roots are alpha and beta, right? Now we got one formula to figure out what is the quadratic equation when the roots are given. Okay, so when the roots are given alpha and beta, the quadratic equation is x square minus x into alpha plus beta plus alpha into beta is equal to 0. And let us see what is this alpha plus beta and what is this alpha into beta. Since alpha and beta are called roots, alpha plus beta is called their sum. More precisely, you can call alpha plus beta as sum of the roots, right? And alpha into beta, of course you can say that alpha into beta is the product of the roots. So you can easily find out one quadratic polynomial equation or quadratic equation when the roots are given just by writing x square minus x into sum of the roots plus alpha into beta is product of the roots, which is equal to 0, right? X square minus x into sum of the roots plus product of the roots. Let us take one example to understand this concept. That is, I just want to find out what is the quadratic polynomial equation when the roots are given. So for example, the roots are, find out a quadratic equation whose roots are 5 comma minus 3 divided by 2. Okay, 5 is one root, minus 3 by 2 is the other root. Then what is the quadratic equation whose roots are 5 comma minus 3 by 2? That is what my question is. Okay, now I am going to answer this. That is, 5 is one of the roots. Better you can compare the given roots with the letters alpha and beta, because we derived one formula in terms of alpha and beta. So that one of the roots is equal to alpha, which is equal to 5, and the other root is beta is equal to 3 by 2. Okay, one root is alpha is equal to 5 and second root is beta is equal to negative 3 divided by 2. Correct? Directly you can substitute alpha is equal to 5 and beta is equal to 3 by 2 in this equation. Then your required quadratic polynomial equation will become x square minus x into alpha plus beta. Alpha is 5 plus beta is equal to negative 3 divided by 2. Okay, plus alpha into beta. Alpha is equal to 5 into beta is equal to negative 3 divided by 2, which is equal to 0. Got it? And now this is x square minus x into, you just simplify this. Of course it is a simple thing to simplify. That is 5 2s are 10. 10 minus 3 is equal to 7 divided by 2. Plus into minus is equal to minus. 5 into 3 is equal to 15 divided by 2 is equal to 0. Of course this is your required quadratic equation. If you don't want these fractions in the given quadratic equation, then better take LCM. So the LCM is going to be 2, so that you just write here 2 divided by 2. That's it. So in every single denominator you have 2. So you can write directly it as 2 into x square is 2x square minus x into 7 is 7x minus 15 whole divided by 2 is equal to 0. So of course by cross multiplication you get it, that is 2x square minus 7x minus 15 is equal to 0. So this is your required quadratic equation whose roots are 5 comma negative 3 by 2. So this way you can easily find out the quadratic equation when the roots are given. So till now what we discussed, when the quadratic equation is given, we will have to check whether that can be solved by using splitting middle term method or factorization method or not. If it is not possible, then there must be some other way to find out the roots. That other way was finding roots by using quadratic formula. For that we derived that quadratic formula also. So by using that quadratic formula you can find out the roots of any quadratic equation easily, just by identifying the values of a, b, c by comparing the given quadratic equation with the standard form, that is ax square plus bx plus c. That is for finding the roots of a given quadratic equation. Now conversely, when the roots of a quadratic equation are given, then how to find out that quadratic equation? This is the way of finding quadratic equation. Finally, let us suppose x is equal to alpha and x is equal to beta. X means that is the value of the variable. So, if two roots are given, then how to find out the quadratic equation? This is the way of finding quadratic equation. Finally, we got it as x square minus x into alpha plus beta plus alpha into beta is equal to 0. Just to remember it easily without telling alpha, beta or a and b or p and q, something else like that. X square minus x into sum of the roots plus product of the roots is equal to 0. So that you can remember this formula easily, because sum of the roots and product of the roots, right? X square minus x into sum of the roots plus product of the roots equal to 0. And we found out one quadratic equation by taking two zeros. One of them is 5 and one of them is negative 3 divided by 2. You understand? So this is what about what is a quadratic equation and how to find out the roots of the quadratic equation, and conversely when the roots of quadratic equations are given, then how to find out that quadratic equation, right? So next we will discuss about some strategies to figure out the roots of quadratic equation easily. Okay, let us suppose consider one quadratic equation. Okay, so that quadratic equation is, for example, 200x square minus 205x plus 5 is equal to 0. This is one quadratic equation. Similarly, I am taking one more quadratic equation, that is 176x square minus 177x plus 1 is equal to 0. This is one more quadratic equation. And if I take some unknowns as coefficients, like a minus b times x square plus b minus c times x plus c minus a is equal to 0. See, if you once observe, these three quadratic equations belong to the same category. Will you be able to identify one similarity between these three quadratic equations with respect to the coefficients of various terms of x? Here coefficient of x square is 200, coefficient of x is negative 205 and constant is 5. And here 176, negative 177 and 1. And this is a minus b into x square, b minus c into x and c minus a. So these three are three different quadratic equations, but there is a similarity between all these three quadratic equations. And moreover, if you are asked to figure out the roots of these kind of quadratic equations with huge coefficients, it is not that easier by splitting middle term method, otherwise by using quadratic formula. Then definitely there is a strategy works out to figure out the roots. You will have to identify the strategy. So here in this first quadratic equation, 200, negative 205 and 5. Once you observe the coefficients, first coefficient is 200, second coefficient is negative 205 and third coefficient or constant is 5. When you add all of them, how much you get? 200 plus 5, 205 minus 205 is going to be 0. Similarly, the second one, 176 is the coefficient of x square, minus 177 is the coefficient of x and constant is going to be 1. What is the sum of all these three? 176 plus 1 is equal to 177 minus 177 is going to be 0. And similarly, first coefficient is a minus b, second coefficient is b minus c, third coefficient is c minus a. When you add all of them, minus a plus a is going to be 0, plus c minus b, c going to be 0, plus b minus b is going to be 0. So totally it is 0. What does it mean? In these three quadratic equations, the only similarity is sum of coefficients of various terms of x is going to be 0. With the help of that, we can find out a strategy by using our quadratic formula. Let us try to understand what is the strategy here. So here we got sum of the coefficients is equal to 0. Sum of the coefficients means what? In a quadratic equation, ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. sum of the coefficients. Sum of the coefficients means a plus b plus c is equal to 0. So, what will be the roots when a plus b plus c is equal to 0? That is what our task is now. Okay. If a plus b plus c is equal to 0, then what are the roots? Then if you identify the strategy behind a plus b plus c is equal to 0, then easily you can find the roots of any quadratic equation of the same kind. Okay. Let us see that. When a plus b plus c is equal to 0. Okay. I will take the quadratic equation where a plus b plus c is equal to 0. Right. So, the quadratic equation is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, provided a plus b plus c is equal to 0, right. If a plus b plus c is equal to 0, then only we will have to find out the strategy, otherwise we will have to find out the other strategy. Okay. When a plus b plus c is equal to 0, first of all, what is the formula for ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0? Find out the roots. That is, x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root b square minus 4ac whole divided by 2a. Just now we derived this formula. Provided a plus b plus c is equal to 0. From this a plus b plus c is equal to 0, see, once you observe in this formula, a and c are together, but the only term alone is b. So, that is why try to find out the value of b from this a plus b plus c is equal to 0. That is, b is equal to transpose plus a plus c towards right hand side going to be minus a minus c, and you can write this one as b is equal to minus of a plus c. Substitute b is equal to minus of a plus c in this formula. Then this formula will become x is equal to minus b. B is going to be minus of a plus c, right. So, minus into minus of a plus c plus or minus square root b square. B is equal to minus of a plus c square is whole square minus 4ac. So, minus 4ac whole divided by 2a, that is whole divided by 2 into a is equal to a only, right. X is equal to minus of minus is plus, that is a plus c plus or minus square root minus square is plus a plus c whole square. What is the formula for a plus c whole square? A square plus c square plus 2ac and left with one more 4ac minus 4ac whole divided by 2 into a is equal to 2a, correct. So, this is a plus c. So, a plus c plus or minus square root. Once you observe, a square c square are alone. So, that a square plus c square plus 2ac minus 4ac is going to be minus 2ac whole divided by 2 into a is equal to 2a, which is a plus c plus or minus square root. See here, a square plus c square minus 2ac. A square plus c square minus 2ac is the expansion of a minus c whole square whole divided by 2 into a is 2a, which can be written as a plus c plus or minus square root gets cancelled, remaining a minus c whole divided by 2a. See, a plus c plus or minus square root cancel, remaining a minus c, that a minus c divided by 2a. There are two terms, two signs, that is positive and negative. Now, for one root use positive and for the other root use negative. Therefore, it is going to be a plus c plus a minus c whole divided by 2a, and the other one is a plus c. Now, minus. When you use minus, you should keep the bracket, that is minus of a minus c. Minus of a minus c is going to be minus into a is minus a, minus into minus c is equal to plus c. So, that you should write it as minus a plus c whole divided by 2a. See any cancellation? Here minus c and plus c gets cancelled and plus a minus c gets cancelled. A plus a is equal to 2a, 2a divided by 2a is equal to 1, and c plus c is equal to 2c. 2c divided by 2a is equal to c divided by a. Therefore, the roots of quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. When a plus b plus c is equal to 0 are, what are the roots? One root is 1 and the other root is c divided by a, or x is equal to 1 comma c divided by a. See, if you know this strategy, then you can easily find out the roots of any quadratic equation. Ensure that a plus b plus c is equal to 0. Got it? So, for example, we have taken already some problems, some quadratic equations which satisfies this condition. So, let us once look into those terms, those quadratic equations. They are, for example, you can easily identify and you can easily make such quadratic equations. They are, for example, I am taking 17x square minus 35x plus 18 is equal to 0. This is one quadratic equation such that sum of the coefficients, what is sum of coefficients here? 17 minus 35 plus 18 is going to be how much? 17 plus 18 is equal to 35. 35 minus 35 is equal to 0. So, here a plus b plus c is equal to 0. When a plus b plus c is equal to 0, then what are the roots? X is equal to 1 comma c by a. Therefore, the roots of this quadratic equation are x is equal to, first root is 1 and second root is c divided by a. What is c here? C is equal to 18 divided by a is equal to 17. See how easily we can find the roots without using any formula or without using splitting middle term method also. So, therefore, if you remember this a plus b plus c is equal to 0, then the roots are x is equal to 1 comma c by a. It is very much useful strategy to figure out the roots without a performing any calculations. Am I clear?